We're going to get into the latest Browns news and rumors in just a moment, but it is anti-hate Pittsburgh Steelers. Nope, that didn't make sense. It is hate Pittsburgh Steelers way. That was like the Office scene where you like circled anti and crossed it through for Michael. Anyway, what I'm trying to get at here is fuck the Steelers and subscribe if you hate Pittsburgh. How about that? All right, let's save the show here. Welcome into the Cleveland Browns Report by Chat Sports. I am your host, Matthew Peterson, and we're going to run through the latest Browns news and rumors today. We got some interesting stories out there to hit on. DeAndre Hopkins potentially coming to Cleveland, a little reunion with Deshaun Watson. Plus, we got some other interesting stuff out there like Joe Woods and Mike Priefer. Are they coming back? Now, before we get to all that, I want to relay some really positive and encouraging news on, of course, the number one story in the NFL right now, which is Bills safety Demar Hamlin. So, Ian Rappaport tweeting out that Demar Hamlin opened his eyes last night and is responsive, truly incredible. One thing that's very clear from speaking to those close to him, they are endlessly appreciative of the medical care given to Hamlin on the field immediately than over the last 72 hours. Just really great news to see right there. The whole world is pulling for Demar Hamlin right now, and I look forward to getting to more of these positive updates. So continue to keep Demar Hamlin in your thoughts and prayers, please. Now, as for some other Browns tying into Demar Hamlin, the Browns themselves, they have donated $10,003, the number 3, of course, Demar Hamlin's jersey number, to his toy foundation. I mean, it just goes to show that the entire NFL community is one big family, and it's great to see Jimmy and Dee Haslam throwing in a big lump sum to help Demar Hamlin's foundation. Until we get more Demar Hamlin updates for you all here, I want to touch on, of course, the latest Browns news and rumors using our Bernie Kosar heads, sort of a scale of believability, if you will. So, Joe Woods, is he returning in 2023? I'm giving this one Bernie head. You might have already seen it on Twitter, but Joe Woods, speaking to the media on Thursday, was sort of asked, hey, could this be your last game with the Browns? And it was kind of awkward. I'm not going to lie. The cat's out of the bag. We all know what's coming. I think Joe Woods knows what's coming here. Jake Trotter from ESPN tweeting out, as he walked off his final podium press conference of the season, hopefully I get to talk to you guys again. Okay, this confirms it. Joe Woods is, in fact, on the internet. He has Wi-Fi, and he knows we all want him gone. I feel bad because I'm joking right now, but of course you never want to laugh at someone losing their job, but that's the NFL, right? Turnover is very high. They get other gigs. That's what kind of makes it a little bit more stomachable. But Joe Woods, let's look at the full quote here, okay? I know things haven't gone the way we would have liked them to this year, but we did improve defensively. I think we're playing better, and it's the guys out there getting experience playing together, and I feel like the guys we have on our team, because we have a young team, they're all coming back next year. We'll have a full offseason. I don't know what the whole we talk there. So long story short, I hope I get the opportunity, but that's not my decision. Yeah, I don't see Joe Woods coming back. Do you? I don't see it. Now, the last 6 weeks have made a case for Joe Woods. That's really the only reason why there's sort of even a question mark, right? Why it's not a closed case Joe Woods is getting fired on Black Monday here. Look at the last 6 weeks for Cleveland. Points allowed in that stretch, 2 touchdowns. That's top tier numbers right there. That is top 3 in the league. Yards allowed, under 300. Passing yards, 166. Rushing yards, still the ugly face of this defense, 133. But the takeaways, 11 takeaways in the last 6 games. In fact, let's compare the last 6 games to the first 10 games. And just look at the improvement across the board. You went from giving up nearly 27 points per game to 14. You're shaving off about 2 touchdowns right there. Yards per game going down, passing yards going down, rushing about the same. Takeaways in 10 games, you had 8. In the last 6, 11. 3 more takeaways in 4 fewer games. But here's where I remind everyone, that's all hunky-dory. But look at the quarterbacks. Like Tom Brady, sure. Joe Burrow, good. Kyle Allen, Tyler Huntley, Andy Dalton, and Carson Wentz. I mean, you could say in the last 6 weeks, the Browns have played 4 backup quarterbacks, right? You can easily make the case that Taylor Heineke is a better and starting quarterback than Carson Wentz. So with that, I kind of come in here to remind you all, like, hey, this is a nice turnaround. I'm happy to see that because I think that's probably going to get Joe Woods a decent job after Cleveland. But I think he's going to need a job after Cleveland because I think they're moving on, right? A change has to be made. The Browns' defense in the first 10 games is why I'm standing here right now, not even more pumped up about this Week 18 game because they're out of the playoff race, right? The Falcons game, the Chargers game, the Jets game, the Patriots. It goes on and on of this defense with a lot of talent was ugly. It was awful. And whether or not that's on Joe Woods completely, that's fair, open to debate. But here's the reality. You're not going to be able to change all 11 starters on defense and all 25 or 30 defenders you have on the roster. So a change has to be made somewhere, and that's going to be Joe Woods. Now you tell me, should Joe Woods return in 2023? Excuse the typo, sorry about that. Yes or no? No. That's my answer. I'm not going to even try and play devil's advocate with myself to make a nice one-man talk show host here. No. All right, second story here. Mike Priefer. So moving from DC to special teams coordinator. Is he returning in 2023? If Joe Woods is one Bernie head, I think Priefer's two Bernie heads. He's really like 1.5 Bernie heads, but I don't want to cut Bernie's face in half. So I'm going to give it 2 Bernie heads, and I'll explain why in just a moment. But first, we are entering the final week of the NFL regular season, so it's not too late to get started with our sportsbook partner at Chat Sports, BetUS. When you go to chatsports.com/bet and you use promo code Browns125, they're going to hook you up with a 125% deposit bonus. Now, to put that in layman's terms, let's say you deposit $100. Well, they're going to match that $100, and then they're going to give you an additional $25. So you got $225 to play with. Here's what you do. You bet against the Vikings in the first round of the playoffs because producer Patrick Stevens' Vikings are frauds, and he's now on my team, and they're losing in the first round. So I'm sorry, Patrick, I had to do that to you. You didn't see it coming. You just got completely ambushed. But hey, that's what BetUS is for, making moolah on the Vikings being frauds. Okay, let's get back to Mike Priefer here. So like Joe Woods, he also spoke to the media, and Cameron Justice tweeting out, I love it here. I'm under contract. I don't plan on going anywhere else. I'm from Cleveland. I want to help Cleveland win a championship. I think Mike Priefer just did a little bit of like a SNL skit of like, hey, I'm under contract. You can't fire me. And hoping Haslam and we're like, oh, shoot, he's right. Oh, he's from Cleveland? We got to keep him then. No, let's be honest. Special teams this year has been underwhelming. And Cade York's misses, not all on Mike Priefer. Mike Priefer's not the one actually kicking the football. But anything that falls under special teams, it's a miscue, a misfire, that's going to land at his desk. And never really being able to get kick or punt return down 100%. Just besides the DPJ return against the Texans, like Jerome Ford had some good returns, don't get me wrong. But we never got that oomph, right? We never got that game-changing block punt. We never got that difference maker, that X factor from a special teams play to kind of turn the game upside down. And as a special teams coordinator, you only get so many bullets in the chamber, right? The offense gets to run 50 to 60 plays sometimes. You don't get that luxury on special teams. You have to make every punt count. And that wasn't the case. Now, Mike Priefer's career is a very long and very proud career, right? He was with the Chiefs, the Broncos, and this is why I bring this up. He was with the Vikings from 2011 to 2018 with Kevin Stefanski. These two have been together from 2011 to now. That's a long time. That's a long time for Kevin Stefanski to decide, I want to fire my friend. But I'm expecting Kevin Stefanski to be nudged, to be maybe like when your boss comes up or your friend and kind of squeezes your shoulders from behind you. It's like, I think we need to make a change, right? And that's going to be tough for Stefanski to do. He hasn't fired anyone from his coaching staff since taking over. So at least none of the big names, you know what I mean? So with that being said, I don't think it's going to be as easy as Joe Woods because he's been with Priefer for so long. So that's why I give it 2 Bernie heads, just being a little bit more likely than Woods. But ultimately, I think I'm doing replacements videos for Woods and Priefer in a couple of weeks. Third and final story on today's show. DeAndre Hopkins. Is he on the market, right? Is he on the NFL trade block or whatever? I'm going to give this one, I'm going to give it 3 Bernie heads, right? I think DeAndre Hopkins is absolutely on the trade market right now. Now, I'm not saying 3 Bernie heads to come to Cleveland. I just think he is more than likely not coming back to Arizona next year. Let's look at this tweet from a Cardinals reporter, Johnny Venerable, tweeting out, very possible Christmas Day against the Buccaneers was DeAndre Hopkins' last game as an Arizona Cardinal. The Cardinals, I mean, I'm not going to make this a Cardinal show, but they are in full tear it down, rebuild, fire your coach, fire your GM, and work around Kyler Murray. So then we have DeAndre Hopkins. He's on the wrong side of 30, but he's still really, really good. Who are we kidding here? Look at the last 4 seasons for Hopkins. He missed some time this year with a 6-game suspension, last year with an injury, but go back to 2020 and 2019, 1,400 yards and 6 touchdowns, 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns. Like, he's still D-Hop, right? A lot of people thought maybe the Browns are getting Amari Cooper when he's sort of at the end of his career. Amari Cooper had the best season of his entire NFL career this year. Statistically, I don't think you can argue against it. Now, Hopkins, of course, we get to the storyline now. I think he knows Deshaun Watson a little bit, right? They overlapped in Houston for quite some time. In fact, they overlapped long enough to hook up for 31 touchdowns and 4,715 receiving yards and 375 receptions. So, of course, we land now at, do you want to go get Deshaun Watson, his number 1 wide receiver? And sort of the reason why he ultimately kind of wanted to leave Houston, because they traded away Hopkins for basically a bag of peanuts. So here's the trade idea. I'm still unsure of what Hopkins would go for in a trade, right? I've got it going for a second, but Chase Claypool went for a second. And no one thinks Claypool is better than Hopkins, but he's younger and he's cheaper. So that kind of balances it out. Right, Amari Cooper went for a 5th and a 6th-round pick swap, but that clearly was an awful trade for Dallas. So I think it'd be somewhere between a 2nd and a 3rd. So I won't ask you guys to go on the spot and say, would you do this trade? Because until I hear the Browns are looking into it, I'm just going to kind of just touch on the subject. We won't dive into it and really start breaking it down until I'm hearing, hey, the Browns are looking to trade for a wide receiver. The free agency class for wide receiver sucks this year, and they don't want to use their 2nd-round pick on one, although they trade their 2nd-round pick, then they won't have one to pick on defensive tackle, which they desperately need. Some other quick news and nuggets to hit on here before I let you guys go. Of course, how did I not start the show off with this? Joe Thomas is a finalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2023. You'll love to see it. And then speaking of Joe Thomas, really quickly, Cleveland Browns Twitter themselves tweeting out, our local Pro Football Writers Association have voted Joel Petonio as the Joe Thomas Award winner and Jacoby Brissett as the Dino Lucarelli Good Guy Award winner. So awesome to see that for Petonio and Brissett. But Joe Thomas, if you think he's a Hall of Famer, end the show with spamming 73 in the comments section. Let me know if you think it is, because how do you not? We're talking about Joe Thomas, an absolute legend and a staple of Cleveland sports. Oh, really quickly, I forgot. Petey's Doghouse. We're coming off a win, which means it's extended leash, extra treats, and no leash. So the extended leash, meaning they go from like the 6-foot leash to the one that's retractable, that goes to Deshaun Watson. He threw 3 touchdowns. And the fact that some people on Twitter are trying to downplay that, get a life. Extra treats, that goes to Amari Cooper. 5-game touchdown drought. He snaps it. He scores 2 scores, 9 touchdowns on the year. That's a single season best. He's 81 yards away from breaking his single season receiving yards best. So he's putting together the best statistical season of his entire NFL career. And then no leash is Grant Delpit. I'm going into next season, and Grant Delpit is a top 3 defender on this team. How can he not be? Myles Garrett's 1, Delpit's 2, JOK's 2, and Delpit's 3. Delpit's 2, Emerson's 2, Ward 2. Like, Delpit's right there, guys. He's played that well the last couple of weeks. So that is Petey's Doghouse. Appreciate everyone for taking time to tune into today's show. I'll see you guys later with more Browns YouTube content.